It did not start with a confrontation. It started with a wardrobe that had been locked for 6 hours longer than it should have been. I want you to hold that detail, 6 hours, because everything that follows turns on it. Not a scandal, not a shouting match. A door that stayed closed when it was supposed to be open, and a man standing in front of it who had every legal right to put his hand on the handle. And the woman on the other side of it who had worn what was inside exactly once before. With full authority, every signature in place. On the 6th of May, 2023. This time, there were no signatures. If you follow the paperwork rather than the press releases, the custody records, the loan agreements, the archival transfer orders that sit underneath every public appearance this family makes, subscribe now, because that is what this channel does. And that is the only way this story makes sense. Quick note before we go further. I'm Harold. I work through the inventories. The records that exist precisely so that nobody can claim afterwards that a thing was borrowed rather than taken. And what I'm about to walk you through is a single object. Crimson velvet. Gold oak leaf border. For embroidered characters that have not appeared on a public transfer order since the 2nd of June 1953. That robe belonged to the late Queen. It was made for her coronation. It was worn at her coronation. And it is held in perpetuity by the Royal Collection, which means it belongs to no living person. Camilla wore it once. That is documented. The palace announced it themselves ahead of the coronation. The Royal School of Needlework prepared it. Ada and Ravenscroft signed off on the condition report. Everything was authorized, archived, and returned. That is the important word. Returned. Returned means it went back. Back into controlled custody. Back behind a door that requires clearance codes to open. Back into the category of objects that exist precisely because no single person owns them. So when a junior chamber attendant at Clarence House, not looking for it, looking for a pen, found a garment bag pushed behind a campaign trunk in a room where nothing is ever pushed, only placed, she already knew what the dust meant. In a room where nothing gathers dust, dust is a document. Everything I find that does not make the final cut goes into the free weekly letter. More than 10,000 people already receive it. It is in the pinned comment below. If you are watching on television, point your phone at the QR code on screen now. Sergeant Ian Merrick had been inherited security for 8 years when the envelope arrived. 4:52 in the morning. 3 measured knocks. The kind of identification that opens doors without starting conversations. Inside, 2 sheets of paper. The first was typed. Clinical confirmed sighting of a regalia-class ceremonial garment bearing year to insignia within the Clarence House dressing quarters. Item is not recorded as transferred, loaned, or deaccession. I want you to understand what those 3 words mean together, because they cover every legitimate way an object leaves a royal storeroom. Transferred, someone with authority moved it and wrote it down. Loaned. Someone borrowed it with a return date. Deaccessioned the collection formally released it. None of those 3 boxes was ticked in the language of that world. If a thing is out of the vault and none of those conditions applies, it has not been borrowed. It has been removed. The second sheet was handwritten. Short. The robe was never meant to be worn again. Certainly not rebranded. Confirm it. Secure it. No signature. Merrick did not need one. He had seen that handwriting twice before. Both times, the man who wrote it had been right about what he was protecting. The house was already moving when he arrived. Florists in the drawing room. Press aides with equipment. A lighting stand being tested in a corridor. He walked through all of it the way you have to walk through a place like that. No hurrying. No looking around. Moving like a man whose presence has already been approved by 5 departments. The valet who held the door nodded at his case. That the steamer crate. Yes, Merrick said. And nothing else. In the dressing corridor, a mannequin frame was waiting. An empty hanger lay across its shoulders. And clipped to the frame, a printed paper tag. Main presentation look. Heritage-focused, regal symbolism. An empty hanger waiting for something that had not come out of its bag yet. That is not a wardrobe running behind schedule. That is a wardrobe holding a space. He knocked once and went in without waiting. Cedar and lavender, half-packed leather suitcases along the chaise. And filling the far wall, a cherry-wood wardrobe, hand-fitted, custom-built. The kind of installation that costs more than most people in this country earn in a year. He stood there 1 second and understood exactly what he had walked into. Behind those doors was the most protected garment in British royal history. And in under 3 hours, in a room downstairs full of cameras, somebody was planning to be photographed wearing it. Lady Ashcroft looked up from the accessory table. Silver blonde hair, charcoal blazer. Clipboard held the way some people hold a weapon. You are not wardrobe staff. No, ma'am. Royal Collection and Heritage Security. He set the case down. I need access to that wardrobe. And then the second voice came in from the doorway. Camilla had entered without a sound. Quilted morning robe, coffee in hand. No pressed smile. None of the warmth she has spent 20 years learning to switch on in under a second. I assume you have a warrant. Or have we abandoned every principle of privacy this family supposedly upholds? Not a trace of humor in it. She does not raise her voice. She goes dry. And she lets the other person work out how much trouble they are in. Merrick gave her the legislation. She waved at the wardrobe. Everything in there is for a scheduled public appearance. Are you suggesting I have stolen my own clothes? Text overlay. My own clothes. 5 words. The entire argument. My own clothes. That phrase is the whole of her position in 5 words. And here is where it becomes something more than a wardrobe argument. Camilla wore that robe once, legitimately, officially, publicly. She knew which office authorizes the transfer. She knew the conservation process. She knew how long it takes and what it costs and how it is transported and how it comes back. A person who has never been near a restricted item has no idea how to remove one from custody. A person who has done it once correctly knows exactly where every gap is. And on this particular morning, none of the signatures existed. Same woman, same robe, one time with the entire institution behind her, and one time with a garment bag pushed behind a trunk. That is the difference. That is the whole thing. Merrick put his hand on the handles. Her attach was still talking. This is an abuse of access. A complaint will be filed. You are welcome to, Merrick said, without turning round. After I finish what I came to do, he opened the doors. Inside, immaculate. Day dresses by color. Crested brooches in velvet trays. Ceremonial gloves in silk pouches. Every bag with a printed date tag. Every bag except one, longer than the others, heavier through the middle. Cover more weathered than anything hanging above it, and where every other bag carried a date and occasion, this one carried nothing. Only 4 characters embroidered into the upper hem, half lost beneath years of careful dust. He drew the zip down slowly, and behind him the attach stopped talking, and the valet in the corridor stopped steaming. And the room went quiet, in the way rooms go quiet when something has already been decided. And everyone present has just realized it. That robe did not leave Clarence House that morning in a garment bag on Camilla's shoulders. It left in an archival transport case, biometric lock engaged, temperature controlled, documented on a transfer order that bore a single authorizing name. What nobody in the coverage has mentioned, not once, is the suitcase in the corner of that dressing room. It's the one already half-packed when Merrick arrived. The one with the airline tags folded underneath it. I will come back to that dot. Until then, the pen. The dust, the push that told a junior attendant that something had not been stored. Everything else followed from that. Subscribe if you follow the records rather than the rumors. The letter is at crownletter.com. I will see you in the next one.